Thank you all for joining. It's excellent to see so many smart people in here. My name is Thomas, and with me I bring my colleague Paul. And today we'll tell you this talk of the bricks that make us and what that means. Before we get too deep in, I just want to ask how many of you have had any experience with Kubernetes? All right, thanks. That's expected. How many of you have experience playing with Lego bricks? All right. See, that's an interesting correlation. So, Paul?
Yes. As Thomas just alluded to, my name is Paul. I am a platform engineer in our Lego container platform team. Creativity is a big part of my personality. In fact, it's a part of my entire family's personality. So I think that this job is a perfect job for me because Kubernetes is a creative thing, and so is Lego. So I hope that, as you can see, all of the stuff that I do has to do with creativity. And right now, I'm trying to get into paint, and you might see that a little bit in our talk here.
Yes, and as you can see in Paul's titles, he's only an associate PowerPoint engineer, and that means that if there's any flaws with his PowerPoint, that's expected. That's, Paul is still learning, right? As for me, I'm Thomas. My journey with Lego and Lego bricks started when I was about a year old. I tried to eat my first Lego Duplo animal. Didn't go as well. About a few years later, when I was 3, I started playing around with my dad's computer, and then a few years after that, I played with my first RoboLab or Lego Mindstorm set, so combined computers and Lego bricks, right? And then 6 years ago, I joined the Lego group, so I can combine that with work and do that while I was working as well. That was pretty cool. And since then, been doing a lot of different platform engineering roles inside the Lego group. All right, but what size is the Lego group? The Lego group is a toy company, right? We manufacture toys. This is our digital organization. We, as of this morning, I counted, we are 237 different product teams. There's about 2,000 colleagues in the digital organization. I think officially a little bit less, and then we have some consultants. I'm not entirely sure on the specific numbers. And we have a lot of Kubernetes clusters. And we definitely have more than 50, but we can't really say exactly how many. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that.
Right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. How do you avoid 50 mediocre Kubernetes implementations? And actually, the answer is quite simple. You just make one and then force everybody to use it. That's usually, that is something that can happen when you adopt a platform engineering mindset. But when we wanted to get into this, we thought about this problem. Some of you might know XKCD, and some of you might know this specific one. And if you don't, then now is your chance to laugh. We wanted to avoid a situation where we just created one extra platform and then tried to get people to use it, but then that just competes with everybody else. So with that in mind, we started to think about how do we make a good platform that people actually want to adopt. Do you want to?
Yes, I can do that, Paul. To understand how we can build a platform that people want to use, we also need to understand our users. And we have these 237 product teams, and they are autonomous. They do whatever they want in order to get the job done that they have been assigned to do. When I say autonomous, it's really autonomous. If they decide that their application works best in some old VM running on a small host somewhere in a basement, that's okay. They are empowered to do that because they, as a product team, knows what's best for their application. They take the decisions themselves, right? That's some might say that's a bad idea, but there's flavors between that and completely managed platforms, and they are absolutely free to choose. So that means that if we build a platform, we also have to compete with our potential users and how they usually do things. And we have an extremely high user variety, not just in terms of their Kubernetes acknowledgement Kubernetes knowledge and skill level, but also in terms of how much they want to get into the nitty-gritty details, how much they want to open up the engine room and see what's running inside. As engineers, certainly I can sympathize with that. Like, I have empathy towards that. I want to do that myself, and that's why I got into platform engineering. So we want to cater to as many of these users as we possibly can. On top of that, we have these 14 existing platforms, or we have a set of existing platforms. When you have this many people, inevitably someone gets together and says, oh, you're doing that, you're also doing that, I'm doing that, maybe we should build something together that fits our specific needs. So we already have platforms running that does somewhat of containers, and we have different platforms in different departments within the digital organization that sort of does the same already. So how do we tackle that? Should we handle that? On top of that, we have some strategic goals. The company has a data center that we're migrating away from, and there are product teams that reside inside this data center that run on one of these platforms that will be decommissioned as part of this that don't have an exit strategy. So we also have to account for actually providing some kind of business value to these people that don't have any other choice. So we set out to build a new platform. We called it the Novus container platform. Some of you who are well-versed in the Latin language recognize that Novus means new. So we set out to build the new container platform. Yes. We based that on all the good ideas that we read about. There's plenty of good books, plenty of good talks, plenty of good resources. We wanted like a seamless experience so we could have multiple users switch between whether they need to run on-premise or they needed to run in our different factory sites, factory edges, if they need to run in different clouds, different regions in the cloud, everything like that. We found out that we can only do this if we are highly opinionated. That means that we decided to enforce GitOps. So all of our users on the platform, they have to run their applications through Git and define their configurations in Git. That means no kube control apply. Someone was really unhappy about that. We had several users who used to have an Azure DevOps pipeline that ended up with templating a Helm chart and then kubectl apply directly. Well, there was also the step of SSHing into the servers where the Kubernetes cluster was running and then running kubectl apply. Maybe not the ideal approach. Nevertheless, we wanted to avoid these kind of situations. It's also super great for resiliency, right? If everything is stored in Git somewhere, that means that if a data center in Frankfurt overheats, then we can just spin up a new cluster somewhere else and immediately switch over the workloads. And then, of course, we are Lego, so we built everything with Lego bricks, and you might have heard how platforms are built on different Lego bricks you connect together. Like we have a lot of GitOps, we have our own secret management solution built on top to support our users for that, so they don't have to consider that to make it simple and easy for them. Like it's still a Kubernetes experience, but it's closer to a Kubernetes-like experience, and we try to abstract as much as we can from them. So we built this platform. We have to replace an existing platform. What do we do now?
That is where I come in. So we've built this perfect new platform that will make Kubernetes perfect for everybody in the Lego group. I mean, we can look at the clusters and we can see that they work exactly as we expect, but there's no users on it. So what do we do? Well, we have users that already use Kubernetes, users that are under time pressure to start to migrate to something new because we had this data center exit, this people that need a replacement for their hosting strategy already. And again, we're under quite a bit of time pressure. So at this point, we established a migration task force. And this migration task force, it includes people from the platform team. It includes people from the application teams that need to migrate. And it includes consultants as well. And this migration task force, what we did was we actually just went out into the teams. We joined their dailies. And we worked together with application engineers on just migrating their applications. And what we found was that the different teams that needed to go through this process had quite different needs. That's probably not a surprise to anybody, I hope, in this audience. But we still took the learnings from this to inform some, spoiler alert, some stuff that comes later in the talk. We identified 3 archetypes of users that we had to migrate. We had the users that were reluctant to try and re-architect their applications or try and change up their delivery pipeline or CI/CD process, that they were just under a lot of time pressure and they needed to migrate to a new platform ASAP. We call those the lift users because we just wanted to lift them directly into the Novus platform, the new perfect platform. And what we see today with these users is that they still require a lot of support because they haven't really changed their mindset either. We have a lot of back and forth together with those teams and continue to support them. I think that also has to do with the personality types of the different teams, absolutely, going forward in the process. But it's at least the result of this process. The second type of user we saw were users that were excited about trying out this new platform, and they wanted to experiment with re-architecting their applications and reworking their CI/CD pipeline to the best of our recommendation. These were some of our favorite users. They're all our favorite users. But these were users that run really well today and actually don't need a lot of interference from us. They don't have a lot of questions because they are the type of user that goes out and just explores whatever new feature that we release. And lastly, we have to keep in mind that we always need to deliver value for the company in the end. So there were some users that didn't really fit the platform, but still needed to run somewhere, otherwise the factory would stand still. For example, the people that provide software for the molding machines would fit into one of these categories. And if the molding machines don't run, then we don't get our salary, and then everything sucks. In any case, these guys needed some custom features built within the platform. And we had to do that. We call it, some of it is technical debt today. But again, we had to move quickly. And so we ended up doing this. And now we have migrated some users. We've gotten rid of one of these mediocre platforms. And now we're in a new situation, because how do we get more users?
Yes, so we successfully took this one platform, replaced it with another, and if we started with the question, how do we avoid 50 mediocre implementations? If we had 50 already, add one, remove one, that's still 50, right? So we need to take, let's call it market share from the other internal platforms and the other internal implementations, whether that's a platform or just a product team that has several different implementations of Kubernetes for their different applications. How do we do that? How do we get out to these users and communicate the kind of value that we want? We took inspiration from what people always do to us when we're a company and looking for someone to fix our problems. We took inspiration from sales. How do we go out and sell our platform? How do we actually implement that? So we wanted to adopt a sales mindset. So it boils down to everyone who's done any kind of sales would recognize that you need to identify whatever it is that you're solving, and then communicate that you can solve that properly. And then you somehow need to convince the people that this is your platform to use it on. And we had different approaches to this. Some are directly catered towards getting new users, to getting the word out, but also generate, let's call it new leads, but also to follow up on people and ensure that they understand exactly what the platform is and what the platform can do for you. There's also a lot about user retention and how we make sure that our users are happy and want to stay with our platform. Because remember, they're free to choose whatever they want. If they don't like our platform, even if they migrate to it or switch to it or deploy an application for it, there's not one single thing that prevents them from going and say, like, I want to host my own Kubernetes, I want to spin up a VM somewhere, an instance in the cloud, or bring my own server. There's nothing that prevents them from doing that. So we need to continuously keep up to date and understand what are their current pain points and how does that evolve. So we took some different initiatives and had some learnings from them. So first, we did workshops. Specifically, we focused on onboarding workshops. The purpose of these was to showcase what can you do with a platform, but also how quickly can you get up and running. We invested a lot of time in making sure that these workshops were great and user-friendly and easy to go to, so you can actually get up and running inside the platform from code and no knowledge of Kubernetes whatsoever to a production-ready setup in less than an hour. And I think that's impressive. That also means that if you're unsure, if is this something for me, can this do something for me, what's the effort required for me, you can always try it out. 1 hour is not a long time of commitment for one engineer if you have a team of 5, 6, 7 engineers. You have plenty of time. It's very simple, low commitment. Additionally, these workshops started out as guided online workshops or in-person workshops, and that doesn't really scale super well. So we converted the template, so we also allow self-hosted workshops, we call them. So you can request a workshop environment, and you get the workshop guide, and you can actually go through that. Of course, you don't have an engineer next to you to ask questions about if there's something you don't understand, but you ask questions in our support channel, which Paul will get onto later, and we're quite quickly at responding to that. And that also means we continuously improve our workshop based on the feedback that we get all the time. So highly recommend doing some kind of workshops to communicate the value to your engineers quickly. The second thing we did was participate more in events. If we're a large company, we have internal developer conferences, we have some product fairs, actually go out and try to speak about this platform to a room full of engineers that can use it. I know most of you don't work at Lego, so you're not the target audience for us today. But go out and communicate this kind of value, and that really shows people that there is something that might be fitting for them. Most people didn't really know about this because we were just one team in a department, and there are several other departments within the Lego digital organization. So we need to reach them somehow, right? It also means that people come to us with questions and ask, I'm doing this, maybe I could use your platform. Is this right for me, or how can I fit into your platform? So that's one way of driving some kind of engagement, right? The third thing is to take the time to connect with your users. So a sales mindset means that you want to sell something. But we've all experienced, or I think most of us have experienced, that salespeople sometimes overpromise and underdeliver. We can't really afford to do that. We need to treat them like our colleagues because they are our colleagues. So we exist in this middle ground between sales and we're just another team, right? We're just engineer to engineer talking. But connecting with them on a more personal level, trying to understand their struggles and feel the frustrations they have with either their current setup or the platform that we are using to host their applications, makes us more aware of what's going on and what we can do to improve the platform as well.
Yes. So now we have identified a couple of strategies to engage new users, but we also saw something else that was quite interesting, we think. The users that we had already had gotten into the habit of speaking directly to their favorite platform engineer. So if Thomas had helped a team migrate to our new platform, they would, the people from that team would communicate directly with Thomas every time they needed to help with something. And that's, we think, because they felt comfortable with Thomas, they felt like they had a common language together, and we saw that as both a good thing, but also a troublesome thing. So, for example, it was a good thing that the application engineers felt comfortable with the platform engineer, but if Thomas just decided to leave the company or work in a different team, we wouldn't want to let the application engineers out to dry. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to enable the entire team to fulfill the role of a friendly platform engineer that has helped you personally. And that is why we set up a support rotation. And in theory, it's very simple. You just have your support channel, which is, in our case, a Teams channel, where people can just ask any question that they have. It doesn't even have to be about Kubernetes. It can be about anything, and we will try and help. And we always have 2 dedicated platform engineers to answer these questions. In the beginning, it was kind of hard to drive our application users to use that channel. But after we improved response times on channel requests in there, we got more and more people to move over there. And I am sorry to say to any application engineers out there, but sometimes I would even hold off on responding to personal messages just to drive more engagement towards the support channel. The other thing that we got out of that was that application engineers actually started to help each other, because this support channel is completely open and public, and everybody can see what's in there. And some of them knew more than others, and they would actually start to respond to the requests that came in there. The other thing that we did was we set up a rent an engineer program. Rent an engineer is actually a bit of a misnomer because they don't pay us any money. It's basically take an engineer for a week or 2 from the platform team and help us do something. Let's say that an application team wants to help set up some kind of monitoring for their application. They can go and request help from a platform engineer, and we will sit in their team and work with them as a normal team member for up to 2 weeks, usually. This really, again, drives connectivity between colleagues, and we think that it really helps us build good bonds with our users. The last thing some of you might think about this, how in the world do platform engineers have time for all of this stuff? Because why aren't you in meetings deciding very important platform stuff? Well, I'll tell you why. We have a system where we pair up, and every pair is empowered to make very radical decisions about our platform. That means that we get rid of a lot of meetings where we don't have to sit and listen to whatever new idea Thomas has for implementing a new feature in the platform. Thomas can just make that decision and implement that feature, freeing up all of the time for us. We are actually down to only a normal daily and a Monday decision sync, and then the occasional retrospective as fixed meetings. The rest of the time we have to talk to users and talk to each other. We can make decisions as well. So with all of this in mind, what we've learned from this is what we believe are 2 key takeaways.
Yes, so these takeaways are the typical platform engineering. You take your bricks and you build your platform with the bricks, and you can switch out bricks. We believe these are the bricks that make our team, the bricks that make us. The first one is sell your platform. We really believe that taking the initiative to try to convince your users that your platform is a good idea, to take on the sales mindset, but still keeping in mind the empathy that you should have towards your colleagues, and combining the 2 is a crucial aspect of having a successful platform that drives adoption towards it.
Yes, and the other key takeaway that we have is to keep your users close. Users don't only need to be heard, they also need to feel heard. It's very important that users feel comfortable with sharing feedback, and you do that by creating a casual connection with your users, so that they feel like they can talk to you, and they feel that you understand what they're telling you. We really think that this is one of the greatest strengths of our team, even though we also think we're really good at Kubernetes. It's actually the support that our users keep telling us about, the reason that they choose us is because of our support, and it's what helps them sell us to other users in the LEGO group. And we've kind of tried to distill that into investing in support decreases the need for it, because we think that the earlier people talk to you about their problem, the easier it is for you to fix it early on. And with that, we would like to say thank you. And we do have time for some questions, if anybody has any. And if nobody has any, then I will ask a question to Thomas.
Yes, down there.
I think there's a microphone in the middle there.
Can I start? Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for the talk. I'm interested in hearing how many users do you have and how large is your team?
So our team is about 14 platform engineers. And I think currently we have about 50-ish user teams. I think that's right, yeah. My lead engineer is nodding. Otherwise, we can look it up in Grafana. Yeah.
So my question is like, what's the scope your platform offer? Do you just offer infrastructure? Do you offer framework, UI, backend, dev standard? Like, kind of curious about that. Thanks.
Yes. So the platform. So for the purpose of this, I believe it can be any platform, but the specific platform, the Novus platform, is hosting containers and containerized applications only. So we don't give them a Kubernetes cluster. We give them a curated, isolated. Essentially, it's a namespace with some other things on top, like their own secret store and integrations to that, API enabling access to that. So there's a lot of neat tools around this, but essentially empowering users to run their workloads inside Kubernetes while abstracting as much of Kubernetes away as we can from them.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. Thanks for the talk. Pretty interesting. And you mentioned at some point that you cannot say exactly how many Kubernetes clusters you have. Was that because what you just said, it's not individual clusters per team, or because it's still not known how many teams would adopt it?
So there are two answers to that question. So first of all, we don't really know the scope of how many teams will be feasibly able to adopt this platform, because not every team needs containers. They might decide that their application does not run in containers, or does not run feasibly inside a Kubernetes environment. So that's for the scope part. For the cluster part, it's because teams can just, in their own cloud accounts, they can just go and create however many Kubernetes clusters they want, and we don't have access to that. We don't have any control over that. So we don't know. I think the latest estimate I heard was about 200, 300 clusters maybe in that ballpark, but can't really say for sure. And that's also one of the challenges with this, and doing the entire adoption and sales mindset is also something that brings us closer to understanding that. But because of the complete autonomy that the product teams has, it will be a never-ending task to figure out what is the desired scope of our platform.
You mentioned you have teams on the factory floors who have applications they run. How did you manage to include them into your platform?
So the teams that run in the factory, they were actually a lot of them were already running in Kubernetes clusters on-premise. They already had a bunch of Kubernetes resources ready to go. We just needed to figure out how to apply them to our new platform. Was that the question? Did that answer your question?
A little bit more specific would be nice.
Okay. We run OpenShift clusters on vSphere on every site. And we already had Kubernetes clusters there. So the users had access to deploy stuff in Kubernetes on the factory edge. So we had to migrate them to new clusters there. Perfect.
Yeah. I think also for what we had before, if you want to convince users in a factory to run Kubernetes workloads, it might be a good idea to consider why would they need to run that. So we have factories that run all the time, and that means that if an application fails, it might be a little bit nice to have that redundancy that Kubernetes offers. So that was really how we convinced people in the first place that they should run containers and Kubernetes.
Yeah.
I think we have time for maybe one last question.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the talk. I'm very interested in the type of value you provide to your users. So if they can choose anything they want, then what you offer is a closed and integrated platform, it seems.
Yes.
But do you also offer other benefits like compliance sign-offs or these types of value?
Exactly. I think that's a good question. It's a big selling point for us that if you run on our platform, then you can already check off this entire list of compliance points that you have to adhere to. It's what our users really like, and it's well, our users really like it, and it's one of the reasons that they like to onboard onto Novus. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, thanks. So we had sort of the same experience, and at some point we offered a few unmanaged cloud projects, and when it was January 1st, the people came back because they had to fill out all the forms, and yeah, they didn't even know where to start. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. It was great having you.